Thank you for joining us here today. What we're going to be focusing on is showing you how to utilize Surgent CIA review. So we'll show you how to get started and study to make sure that you're on the fastest path towards passing the CIA exam. So the first thing that you'll do is when you log in, you'll see our welcome screen. You'll go ahead and click next. Then we'll ask you to put in your exam date. So here, let's just go ahead and select March 31st of next year. So it tells us how many days there are until the exam. Then we'll click next. Then it asks how many days per week are we available to study. This is really important to set up your study schedule so that you have a predictable path towards being able to carve out time to study for your exam. Then we'll click next. And here it shows us the 3 stages of studying with Surgent CIA review. The first stage is the assessment. So we want to establish our baseline ReadySCORE, and that ReadySCORE is a projection of what score we would receive if we were to sit for the exam that day. So basically, we're letting you know when you are ready to sit for the exam. Next, you'll study. And so during that phase, we're getting you ready by helping you with practice questions, giving you access to glossary terms, different things that will help you learn the content you need to know in order to be ready to pass the exam. And then finally, we get into the practice phase, and that's where you are really just drilling and going over things to make sure that you're ready to practice or ready to pass the exam. And I'll show you exactly what that looks like in just a moment. So then you'll click Let's Go. And now you will begin the assessment. So the assessment is 150 questions. And so you don't have to complete all of that in one setting. But I would say over maybe 3 to 5 days or so, you can probably complete these 150 questions and go ahead and get started with your assessment by clicking the Start button. Notice down here, the sections of the exam are currently locked, and that's because you have not completed the assessment yet. Once you finish that assessment, you will be able to access each of these elements of the course. Now, I'm going to show you what it will look like once you have actually done that. So here, you can see that this user has already completed their assessment and they've been studying. And so now they are in the practice phase. And so I'll just show you a couple of elements that we have here. So one is you can do your study session. So you can click here and choose between doing 10 questions, 30, 50, what have you, and you can work on those practice questions. Or you can do a practice exam. Not really but the practice exam is really that later phase that we talked about. You're in the mode where you've completed your studies, and now we're just focusing on that practice phase where you're going through and seeing if you're ready to pass the exam. Now, I'll highlight a few things with your dashboard here. This user has indicated they can study 6 days per week. They have 89 days to go until their exam, and their current ReadySCORE is a 90. Now, for the CIA exam, we recommend that you get an 85 or higher in our system to indicate that you're ready to pass. So this user has already exceeded that amount. So that gives us some good indications that they have mastered the content and they're ready to do it. And then over here, you can, even though they can go here and do study questions there, you can also come down here to these 4 categories, and you can either click study questions here, and you can select the number of questions you would like to complete, and you can choose your study method. The adaptive, that really gives you a mix of different question types. So you're going to get new questions, old questions, questions that you've missed in the past, because we want to see if you can get them correct now based on something new that you've learned, as well as questions that you've gotten correct in the past, because we want to make sure that you've retained that information and that it wasn't just a lucky guess. So those are a few things that you can expect to see there. But we also know that sometimes you may only want to see new questions, or you may just want to see questions that you missed last time. And so if you want to do those things, you can select those options there and then click Begin Session. Now, a couple of other things that I'll highlight here. If you click into this box, notice for category 1, it actually drills down into subcategories. So you have 1A, 1B, and 1C. If you only wanted to do practice questions on one of those subcategories, you could click the pencil icon to do that. So you can kind of see what that looks like just clicking in on a few. Now, one thing I'll note here is you see a color discrepancy here. So as you are working to achieve that score of 85 that we're recommending for your ReadySCORE, you're going to get a couple of different colors. Before you really get started, it's going to be this dark navy blue color, indicating that regardless of whether you have a high score or a low score, we don't really have enough data to tell you how you're truly performing yet. And so that's going to be that navy blue color, basically just saying you need to keep doing more questions. And then it will turn red to indicate, okay, you've done a good amount of questions, but we still have more work you need to complete. And then you see here for 3B, the score is currently yellow. That indicates that you're getting closer to that 85, but still have a little bit more work to do in order to get there. And then here, once it turns green, that lets you know that you have mastered this category and you are ready to pass that portion of the exam. So another thing to let you know about is that practice exam. This is where you can also click the button to begin the practice exam. I'm going to go ahead and click it now. And I'll show you, this will just give you a heads up to say, look, you're going to have a 2-hour time limit for this exam. It has 100 multiple choice questions, and this mimics the screen that you're going to see at the Prometric Testing Center. So you can click Start Exam and begin working on that from there. But for now, I'll go back to your dashboard. I'll also show you that if you click up here in this little document icon, you can access the glossary as well as the textbook and also any notes that you've taken in the system. If you click here where it looks like a little person reading a book, there are a couple of things you can access, but I'll highlight one, the diagnostic report. This is something that you will get after you complete the diagnostic exam, that assessment. So this tells the user that after they completed the assessment, they started with a 64, and then it says you've got about 24 hours of studying left. Here, we're also going to highlight your best categories or strongest categories, as well as your weakest categories by topic. And so this is a static screen. So this only reflects how you were looking in the course after you completed the assessment. When you go back to your dashboard, this is what's showing you your current performance and how you're currently looking. Now, a couple of other things, if you go to this tab here, you can also access your session results log. So with the session results log, you can go in and review all of your previous sessions. So for example, you can see the date, the time, as well as how many questions you completed and the number that you got correct or incorrect. And if you click view, you can go back and take a look at those things. So here, I see that on average, I'm spending about 1 minute and 50 seconds per question. It took me 18 minutes to complete this assignment. I got 8 of them correct out of 10, and I missed 2 of them. Well, I want to go back and look at those 2 questions that I missed. So I'm going to click Review All. And so here, I see that my answer was incorrect. The correct answer is highlighted in green. And then over here, I get an explanation of what the correct answer should have been. And we also provide things like helpful tips about glossary terms and things that are relevant to this question. So perhaps I missed this question because I don't fully understand the role of an auditor. And so here it explains what that role is. So those are a few things that can be helpful to you as you're going throughout your course. And I'll go back to the dashboard here. I'll also note that if you click this question mark icon, we do have options to reach out for support. If you're having any technical issues with your course, you can email exam-review@surgent.com. Or if you have questions or need more clarity about the answer to a question, you say, I see the answer explanation, but I still have a few questions. This doesn't fully make sense to me. You can email editorial@surgent.com and they can help you with additional clarity on those types of questions as well. Now, one other thing that I'll highlight is if you click on this star icon, we have gamification elements in here. And so you can earn badges and points for doing various tasks within the system. So when you set your exam date, when you do a study session, when you watch a video, when you complete your practice exams, different things like that, can earn you badges and points. And so those are things that may help you just stay motivated and stay engaged as you're studying as well. So that is a quick overview of how the Certified Internal Auditor exam review course works for Surgent. So I hope this was helpful to you. And again, you have those helpful email addresses if you have any additional questions. So thank you for watching, and we wish you the best of luck on passing the CIA exam.